Tonight on West Dakota Fox News at 9, Washington remembers the Maverick senator from Arizona, plus a guilty verdict in a motel murder. We'll show you the trial that captivated our state and how it all ended. But first, pulling the plug on NAFTA.
This is West Dakota Fox News at 9 with Molly Martinez and meteorologist Henry Blakes. Your first news of the night starts right now on West Dakota Fox News at 9.
Good evening, I'm Molly Martinez. President Trump says he is terminating the North American Free Trade Agreement, but only has consent from 1/3 of the parties involved. Doug McElway has more on this morning's developments.
It's a big day for trade, big day for our country.
President Trump coming closer to delivering on a signature campaign promise, ending the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA. The president saying Monday that he's reached a tentative deal with the Mexican government. He's calling it the United States-Mexico Trade Agreement and says it will eventually replace NAFTA, which he's blamed for job losses and a big U.S. trade deficit.
The United States was hurt very badly by NAFTA for many years, and now it's a really good deal for both countries. And we look very much forward to it.
Absent from today's announcement, America's neighbor to the north. The Canadian government is locked in a tariff battle with President Trump, and it's unclear if they will participate in these negotiations.
So what does nixing NAFTA mean for North Dakota farmers who rely heavily on those exports? Only time will tell, but the North Dakota Stockmen's Association is hoping for the best.
We need to get the trade deal done. We need to make sure it's a fair trade deal and move forward.
Zanker says that the market has been up and down and hopes any deal we can sign will be beneficial. Following today's announcement, the United States Department of Agriculture announced the first half of its trade assistance program. That includes a market facilitation program to supply aggregate payments to producers, a food purchase and distribution program, which surplus commodities will be purchased and distributed to food banks, and a trade promotion program to help develop new foreign markets. The second half of the program will be announced at a later date. Henry, all this talk of farming with some welcomed wet weather this weekend. Thanks, Henry. A Bowman couple convicted of conspiracy to commit murder have been sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole. After hearing numerous victims' statements, a judge sentenced Madison West and Chase Swanson for the death of 23-year-old Nicholas Johnson. Daniela Hurtado was at the Stark County Courthouse during the sentencing and tells us how it all played out.
In August of 2016, Nicholas Johnson was beaten, strangled, and sodomized. The Bowman County State's Attorney's Office says Nicholas Johnson's body was unrecognizable. Monday, Johnson's mother, Sheila, says justice was served.
For life without parole.
The Johnson family was relieved their pleas were heard.
Feels really good.
Very good feeling, but still doesn't fix the hole in her heart.
Madison West and Chase Swanson will serve a life behind bars for the murder of 23-year-old Nicholas Johnson.
There really isn't a remedy under the law that could make Tom, Sheila, and the Johnson family whole again, but life without parole comes pretty close.
West and Swanson left in shackles after giving their final words to the court. West apologized for Johnson's death and said he didn't deserve to die. Swanson saying he feels horrible and that he has to live with this for the rest of his life. The Johnson family says forgiveness isn't an option.
I don't know if I ever will, even if they admit to what they've done, which they still have not done. They haven't admitted to doing anything wrong.
He says the duo didn't show any remorse throughout the trial or at the sentencing hearing. Nick is remembered by his family and the community for his willingness to give, his photography, and for being a volunteer firefighter. The Bowman County State's Attorney's Office says Madison West and Chase Swanson now bring up the number of people in North Dakota serving life in prison without parole to 30. In Stark County, for West Dakota Fox News at 9, I'm Daniela Hurtado.
One person is hospitalized after a 3-vehicle crash on I-94. It happened around 4 this afternoon in the westbound lanes near State Street. The Highway Patrol says vehicles were slowing down for a construction zone when a pickup rear-ended one car, which then hit another. Traffic wasn't blocked for long. Authorities say at least one driver will be cited. A Mandan man was arrested early Saturday morning for terrorizing. Police say 52-year-old Sanderson Mauricio got into an argument with his 27-year-old female roommate. She fled and called 911, telling them that he had grabbed a knife and made a stabbing motion towards her. A former West Fargo teacher has pleaded guilty to 6 counts of sex-related crimes with students. 37-year-old Shannon Moser was charged with 8 felony charges, including sexual assault, luring minors by computer, gross sexual imposition, and use of a minor in a sexual performance. She resigned from Liberty Middle School and will be sentenced at a later date. In health news, hantavirus has killed a woman from northeast North Dakota. That's according to the North Dakota Department of Health. The hantavirus is spread by infected rodent droppings, urine, and saliva. This is the state's first case since 2016. Since 1993, there have been 16 cases in the state, 8 of them fatal. The department says when cleaning around areas with mice, take precaution.
If you notice that you're kicking stuff up, take it outside. If you're going through an old box, don't go through it while you're, inside of your shed. Take it outside and go through it there where you have more access to the fresh air.
Some signs of infection include fever, body aches, and nausea. West Nile is also cause for concern with the North Dakota Department of Health. Director Fran Bosch says Williams and McKenzie counties had both reported cases of the virus this year. The state overall has had 74 reported cases, 24 of those requiring hospitalization, but no deaths have occurred. Though the quantity of mosquitoes is declining, there are still seeing some positive tests. William County had 11 positive mosquito pools last week. Bosch is urging people to still be careful when outdoors, even though fall is rolling in. Well, construction is underway for a housing unit for the homeless in Bismarck. Edmonton Place is in collaboration between the Burleigh County Housing Authority, Beyond Shelter Incorporated, and the North Dakota Housing Finance Agency. The building will have room for 40 people and offer permanent housing and individualized services for mental, behavioral, and substance abuse issues.
Nobody wakes up in the morning choosing to become homeless. They've got these issues that cause that homelessness. We need to figure out what those issues are, turn that person from being a homeless individual into a working person in our community.
The $10.3 million project is funded through state and federal dollars. It is expected to open next August. Well, law enforcement is cracking down on texting while driving. North Dakota agencies are participating in a statewide You Drive, You Text, You Pay campaign, which starts on September 4th. Drivers are 6 times more likely to crash than a drunk driver if they're texting. Texting while driving is currently illegal and carries a fine of $100. 2 people are dead after a shooting rocks Jacksonville yesterday during a gaming tournament. Victims are speaking out and new details are coming in about that shooter. It was believed to be an act of jealousy. Omar Jimenez reports.
Next thing you know, pop, 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 pop. It was the scariest thing in my life.
From the hospital bed, survivors are speaking out about escaping bullets during an online gaming tournament. The event was being live streamed when gunfire erupted. Competitive players of the football video game Madden were in Jacksonville hoping to earn a chance to compete for large cash prizes. Now, they're mourning the loss of 2 of their own.
For him to come to a gaming event where, as his mother, I thought he'd be safe, and he wasn't. It's insane.
While authorities have not released the names of the 2 players who died, the gaming community is reporting their names and paying tribute. One of them is 27-year-old Taylor Robertson from West Virginia, who had won the national tournament 2 years ago. The other was 22-year-old Eli Clayton, a former high school football player from California.
It makes me never want to, leave the house anymore now. It's scary.
Authorities say the gunman took his own life, and while police have not released a possible motive, witnesses say they believe the attack was targeted.
So I believe it was jealousy over some being successful and him barely making it.
In the wake of yesterday's mass shooting in Jacksonville, states are taking a good look at their emergency call systems. Officers responded to yesterday's shooting in Jacksonville in just under 2 minutes. While law enforcement was responsible for making sure the area was safe, other agencies pitched in too. Many states, including North Dakota, have similar plans. Andrew Horn shows us.
Responses like the one to a shooting in Jacksonville takes a coordinated effort from multiple state and local agencies.
One is the personnel, the second is the equipment that's necessary, and then the third are the processes.
North Dakota has spent the last year investing in new equipment that helps provide a response in an instant.
So unless all 3 of those components are there, we really can't do the job. And that's the necessity of having the equipment in place.
The department added equipment for body part recovery, dental x-ray identification, photography equipment, and a drone. But the department's growth is limited by inconsistent federal funding. Additional dollars from the state could stabilize funding.
I think we're going to have the funds to budget for our priorities, and I think the safety of the people in North Dakota is #1 priority. Weidrich
says the department has the capacity for about 200 people for advanced life support services and wants to expand that to 400. For West Dakota Fox, I'm Andrew Horn.
Washington, D.C. is mourning the death of the Maverick senator from Arizona. A memorial sits outside the entrance by John McCain's former office in the Russell Building. As the nation pays tribute, the senator previously recorded a statement of how he wanted to be remembered from his memoir, The Restless Wave.
I hope those who mourn my passing, and even those who don't, will celebrate, as I celebrate, a happy life lived in imperfect service to a country made of ideals whose continued success is the hope of the world. And I wish all of you great adventures, good company, and lives as lucky as mine.
He will be laid to rest this weekend in Annapolis at the Naval Academy. The White House flag is once again flying at half-staff. Late this afternoon, the flag was lowered to honor the late Senator John McCain. The Stars and Stripes had been lowered to half-staff on Sunday, but then raised again to full height this morning. The American Legion was among those organizations urging President Trump to keep the flag at half-staff until the late senator is buried next weekend. The Arizona Republican had a strained relationship with President Trump. A former Vatican official is calling for Pope Francis to resign. It comes on the heels of the most recent sex scandal. Former Archbishop Carlo Maria Viagno says he told the Pope 5 years ago about the allegations against former Cardinal Theodore McCarrick, but the Pope did nothing about it. Pope Francis is refusing to comment on the allegation. Instead, he called on people to read his letter carefully and make their own judgment. The letter comes after a Pennsylvania grand jury found more than 1,000 minors were sexually abused by more than 300 priests over 7 decades. Switching gears now, let's take a look at our full forecast with Henry.
Hey, we've got some showers on pinpoint radar.
We'll talk about an uphill battle. Thousands of competitors attempting to climb the world's steepest hill at the Red Bull World Championship 400 in Austria. 1,800 competitors from 40 countries set their sights on the gold at the race in the town of Bischofszell. Probably not how you pronounce it. 18-year-old Norwegian Erik Ressel took home the trophy in the men's category, completing the race in just 3 minutes and 16.6 seconds. And 4,000 couples tie the knot in a mass wedding ceremony in South Korea. They hailed from 64 different countries. The controversial Unification Church was founded in 1954 by the late Sun Myung Moon, who declared he and his wife were messiahs. He reportedly oversaw mass weddings, in which thousands were matched with spouses. Some of those people had just met that day. Henry, am I going to be invited to your wedding?
We will have to see. But yeah, I have no reason not to invite you.
Well, I think we're going to have a wedding on the same day.
Yeah, we ought to do that. That'll be special.
So that's a yes?
We'll see. But yeah, that's a yes. You know, why wouldn't I invite you?
Oh, no, you're going to be my groom.
We'll see. We shall see. But hey, we're talking about the weather for in the morning. We're going to be starting out mostly in the 40s. Showers mostly across the east, and then another batch pushing into parts of eastern Montana. That will gradually make its way into western North Dakota by your Tuesday afternoon, but temperatures once again are going to be unseasonably cool once again. So we're going to be in the 60s at least, not just the 50s. Slight chance of showers for some across the north and west. Otherwise, wait until Wednesday and Thursday if it's a little too chilly for you right now.
You know, Henry, you have to put up with a lot, but I really appreciate it.
Oh, yes, thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.